after that historical performance that we put on in the final regular season game, or the final game of the regular season against La Tech, 59-13, with a masterful performance by Cam Michael, 34 catches, 541 yards, and 7 TDs. We are advancing to the following week, advancing to week 14, which I believe may be the last week that we can recruit, but I'm going to find out again here shortly. But if that was our final game, I'll get back to that in a second. There you have it, the SBC Player of the Week, Cam Michael. Again, 34 catches, 541 yards, 7 TDs, putting on arguably one of the greatest games of one of the greatest statistical games in history, in college football history. And there you have it, National Offensive Player of the Week as well. Of course, who would have had a better performance than he did in that week? So we are officially on week 14. I'm not for certain. I never can really remember when is the last week that we can actually recruit. But before we get into the recruiting, let's take a peek at late season bowl predictions. We still have conference championships that have a lot of these bowl projections on the line and up in the air. But you got projected in the college football playoff, Memphis to face off against Ole Miss, UCLA to face off against BYU, Oregon to face off against USC. That's interesting right there. And South Carolina facing off against Virginia. And Heisman buzz. There you have it. Cam Michael, just off of his last 2 performances, has catapulted himself into the Heisman conversation. And there you see he is currently placed second. This is brand new to me, so I don't know if that's actually going to mean that he's going to come up second, or if he's going to possibly have a chance to actually walk away with the award. I haven't seen enough ceremonies to know if it truly means that you're going to get the award if you're number 1, or if you're just in the top 4, if you have a shot. I don't know, but he has catapulted himself in a position to where he can possibly obtain that award. So to go from not even in the conversation to at least number 2 is substantial. So fingers crossed, hopefully. And like I said, I wish we had another game that we can play, but unfortunately, obviously we must not have gotten an invitation to the conference championship. Neither were we expecting it. We were 3-5 in the conference, for crying out loud. So of course we weren't going to get invited. We went on that 5-game skid. Y'all know the story if you've been following this entire time. We had a complete meltdown midway through the season, and that carried on towards the end of the season until we went on that tear in the last 2. I say tear, but we completely put belt to ass to our last 2 opponents against Troy and La Tech. So we still have roughly 125 points left that we can utilize to help unlock more abilities for Coach Reed. Now I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to try to unlock another ability, or I think I'm about to just go all in on the recruiter aspect. We're going to go all in on the recruiter ability because I want to try to tap in with the elite recruiter tier down at the bottom. So we're going to try to go ahead and max out everything that we can, which I don't think I have enough points. Yeah, I definitely don't have enough points for that, because each one of these that I do unlock, it goes higher and higher. And just like that, we're already down to 25 points and now 5 points. So we're going to have to hold off on unlocking any other abilities for the time being, but we definitely want to try to unlock as much as we can as far as the recruiter aspect is concerned, because we want to make sure our coach has the most abilities possible. That way we can bring in more 3-star prospects and possibly 4- and 5-star prospects. Are we going to bring that in anytime soon, in year 2 or 3? Who knows? Only time will tell. But I'd rather have those abilities to fall back on than not to have those abilities. And just as we speaking on the recruiting aspect of things, we got a verbal commit in Earl Candidate, who, if y'all don't remember, has been one of our prime targets this entire time, as well as James Marcus. So let's go. We're getting all kinds of W's to close out the season. We were taking all kinds of L's earlier on, but when you compound the last 2 games of the regular season, which we put belt to ass on La Tech and Troy, And Cam Michael catapulted himself with those performances in those games into the Heisman conversation. And now we're finally starting to get some wins as far as recruiting is concerned with Earl Kennedy and James Marcus. And it's not finalized. We still got to get them the hard commit, but this is a W nonetheless. So here we are on another bye week. And again, I assume that our season is over because I'm pretty sure if we'd have been offered any kind of conference championship bid or even possibility of playing in a bowl game, they would have offered it to us by now. But as you can see, Cam Michael has catapulted himself into the Heisman conversation, and he's still sitting firm at number 2. Hopefully with him being in the top 4, it actually means that he has a legit opportunity at obtaining the Heisman Trophy Award, but we won't know anything until the ceremony commences. But I have a bad feeling that just because he is not number 1, that he is not going to bring it home. But the fact of the matter that we're even in this position to begin with everything that we've been through, is a huge W. And like I said on the last episode, if we don't get it this year, believe we're going to get it next year with Cam Michael for sure. Got some last minute recruiting left that we have to do. I'm probably going to go ahead and take these little 5 points away from Glenn Webb since we're not really making a ton of progress with him, like say so, and he's not a big target. And add it to Otagwe. I'm going to remove everything that we have for him, and I'm going to go ahead and contact friends and family because he is a 4-star, and we want to go ahead and give him as much love and attention as possible in hopes to actually be able to bring him home or deliver in having him commit to Georgia Southern University. Looking at some of the top stories, you got a player of the week for Navy, Griffin Willis, 0 sacks, but he had 3 tackles, and all 3 of those tackles went for a loss. And then player of the week for Army, you have Cale Helms, who had 64 pass yards, 0 pass TDs, 50%. So he had to have done some damage on the ground for him to get player of the week of that game. And you only had 64 pass yards on 50% completion percentage at that. But nothing to see here as far as the top 25 is concerned because, well, we're not in the top 25. So this doesn't pertain to us. Although I will say it does piss me off seeing App State in there because not only did we lose to them, and that was an AD expectation to defeat them, but they're in the top 25, and we're not even contending for the conference championship or a bowl game for that matter. But I digress. We're moving along to the next week. We'll see if we have even more recruiting to knock out this week. I believe this is conference championship week. I don't know how the Heisman Trophy ceremony thing goes. Is that this week? Is it going to automatically pop up? I don't know. But we're about to find out now. I don't really see anything that has changed as far as our school update is concerned. We have a prospect who has us first, which is Ojemudia. And then we have 2 that have us second and 1 that has us fourth. So we have some ground that we need to cover as far as these guys are concerned. But Otagwe isn't even on here. So I have a feeling that contacting friends and family didn't do anything for us. But like I mentioned, it is conference championship week, but recruiting is no longer an option. So recruiting is done until we actually officially get to the offseason and get to the end of the regular season. But you have Virginia facing off against Miami, a big matchup between Ole Miss and Oklahoma, Trinidad Chambliss versus John Mateer. So they both had pretty solid years for the most part. And here you are again, the Heisman Trophy race. Nothing really has changed. It appears that Byron Brown is going to bring home that award. But then again, this could change this week. It more than likely will change because the 2 people that are below Cam Michael are actually battling for another opportunity, or actually playing and have another opportunity at a game, should I say. They're playing each other. Damn it, I can't get my words out. They're playing each other, so that means both of them have one more game to prove themselves, and that could catapult one or the other into the number 1 spot. But looking at our coaching staff, so far it looks like everybody is secure. Of course, like I mentioned before, nobody's going to take from a team that went 6-6 and went on a 5-game losing streak. And of course, our coordinators both are ranked to F, so they're not appealing to anybody. But like I said with my Kent State rebuild, watch, as soon as we start winning, somebody's going to want to come and poach our guys off of our squad. But Yeah, we went through all the top stories. You got a big time Big Ten championship game between number 6 USC and number 1 Ohio State. So things are about to get real interesting. Let's see how the landscape of college football looks after we advance past conference championship week. And also, let's see if this is the week where we get the Heisman Trophy ceremony rolling. So we got 875 XP from that week. So that's a big, big win for us and Coach Reed. Jesus Christ, 2 failed AD expectations. They are going to have our job here soon if we do not turn things around here at Georgia Southern University. And that is why we have to make it a point of emphasis going into year 2 to make a significant change and turn this program into a winning organization going forward. So let's see what this week holds for us. Uh-oh, is this it? This is it. Here we go. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. And again, we didn't even think we'd be in this position. And I'd watch the Heisman Trophy ceremony regardless. But the fact that we have somebody in here competing for the trophy makes it that much more special. John Mateer, 3,324 yards, 43 total TDs, 71% completion percentage. Here we go. Cam Michael, 1,715 yards, 18 total TDs on 115 catches. A bulk of that towards the end of the season in those last 2 games. Trinidad Chambliss, 3,667 yards, 34 total TDs on 67% completion percentage. So as you can see, we're up against some stout competition. And Byron Brown, 3,471 yards, 38 total TDs, 64% completion percentage. So good competition that we're up against. Real good competition. And again, we don't know how the leaderboard stands after last week because they had a bowl game or they had a conference championship game between Chambliss and John Mateer. And we didn't see the updated standings after that week. It took us straight into the ceremony. So we're going to find out this week if either of those guys jumped ahead of Byron Brown or if Byron Brown still has the lead or even if we have an opportunity at it. Only time will tell, but here goes nothing.
Heisman Trophy is John Mateer,
wow.
Senior quarterback out of Oklahoma.
Wow. I knew it. I knew that was going to happen. Because they still had a game to play. They were all in the SEC. But those two still had a game to play. Byron Brown did not. And I knew that would possibly catapult him or one of them above him. And I knew we didn't have a legit shot at bringing home the trophy. It was too little too late. But the fact that we were in this conversation means a lot. So next season is up. Believe that. We bringing that trophy home to Georgia Southern, where it belongs. I say where it belongs like we won it before, but it's cool. That was a great experience. It was a great experience. There you have it. John Mateer, 2026 Heisman Trophy winner on 3,324 yards, 21 passing TDs, 71%. I believe it said he had 34 total TDs. So he must have had about 13 rushing. I'm not sure. I can't remember what his specific statistics were, but Cam Michael does bring home some kind of hardware. 2026 Fred Biletnikoff Award winner on his 115 catches, 1,715 yards, and 18 receiving TDs. And then we got Artavius Murphy bringing home the 2026 Jet Award on 55 attempts, over 1,000 yards, nearly 1,100 yards in the return game, and 2 TDs. So we got another award winner in Artavius Murphy bringing home the Jet Award. So we brought home 2 awards. We brought home the Fred Biletnikoff Award and the Jet Award. But we want to try to obtain more awards here in the future. But that's going to do it for this episode as we are right around 14 minutes. So as always, if you're here for the first time or you're returning and you haven't liked or subscribed already, please do so. Click that notification tab so you can stay up to speed with more of this Georgia Southern rebuild, as well as other College Football 27 content. Again, I appreciate you all for tuning in. That's been my time. Till next time. Peace.